Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me on the Slice of Healthcare podcast. I'm your host, Jared Taylor. I am here with Greg Peters, the co-founder and CEO at betterPT. Greg, how are you today?
Hey Jared, great man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm excited to catch up. I know we wanted to have you on the podcast for a while. Things are moving, and I'm excited to finally do this. I'd love if you could kick things off by telling the audience a little bit about your background, and then we'll talk about betterPT.
Sure. Yeah. I fortunate enough not to go to Wall Street. I actually started my career in health and wellness, being really focused on athletic training, but in an integrated health model. It was one of the first of its kind in New York City. And I got to experience what I believe is the most efficient way of managing patients' care. And what I mean by that is we provided access to services and resources that patients needed. So nutrition, behavioral health, exercise, Pilates, orthopedics, primary care. So I just got to experience the most efficient way to manage care, and we did a great job. And that's kind of where I got my start. But I've been a man obsessed with taking great care of people, first and foremost, and trying to make people better. But I also know and I understand that truly it's about access. And that's really what led me to kind of branch out into the digital world, because the only way to reach more people, Jared, is to use technology. So that's kind of where I started.
Can you talk us through, basically, I like to focus in on three things: the why, how, what of betterPT. So you already hit a little upon the why. Can you talk us through how the platform currently works today?
Sure. It's again, the why is all about access, really improving and removing friction and anxiety for the patient, while at the same time improving the efficiency and really the focus on that first mile of the patient journey. And the how is we leverage, very flexible modern technology. The big word is interoperability. Just simply, we are able to integrate into the EMRs and other systems that a provider may be using, which just streamlines the process. So we really focus ourselves on being the most modern technology, but really meeting the patient on the experience side. We're trying to get closer to the patient, right? And that's kind of what's missing. It's like we are consumers. Everything we do is from our phone. Everything is available to us. It's on demand all the time. Healthcare is catching up now. The pandemic accelerated that. So we very much focus our products and our user experience on being the best consumer experience we can provide.
Very cool. Yeah, and I know we won't give it all away, but I know you have even bigger plans for what you're building, even though I think you've already built something pretty big. But based on what you've told me, and I am not sharing it because this will be a future conversation, it's about to get a lot bigger. So that'll be the teaser we give everyone, Greg, for
We're not leaving
episode.
PT. I just want to make that clear. we started in PT because, one, there's no better community to service from a treatment standpoint. The providers, and the second reason was everybody has some issue with musculoskeletal health in their life. That's not true of any other industry. So when you think about building technology and patient experience, you get to touch the most broad audience, which is going to make your product superior. So we really love the physical therapy industry, and we think it's helped us, again, get to a point where we're really excited about the future.
Yeah, I think you're helping these professionals in the industry too that I've never met. You'll meet patients that are super grateful for like their doctors and other specialties that provide care to them. But I remember getting hurt in college. I played college tennis, and man, it was amazing to be able to have the physical therapist, these trainers be able to get you back to where you needed to be able to do what you love again. It wasn't always the most comfortable thing, but someone has to provide that care to get you back on your feet. So really cool. Awesome. We did have two key things that we really wanted to focus in on this podcast. One being, how do you see access of care improving? So we'll start off with that, and then we'll go into the other question.
Yeah, I think more so than ever, whether it be just a mom and pop, provider business, all the way to health systems, the hot topic is access, right? This whole idea of digital front door, and really, what's the definition of that? And I think one thing that we've learned with digital technology in healthcare is that if process isn't in place, technology just leads you to the wrong answer faster. And so I think there's a lot of rip and replace going on across healthcare as people really start to understand how patients want to interact, right? Telehealth brought a whole new service line to the forefront. And I think what we really focus on is what's the definition of that digital front door? What does it need to do? We've seen in an industry like travel, right, what a digital front door could do, right, with pre-check and clear, how that's removed the anxiety from the traveler going to the terminal. Healthcare is going to get there at some point, but the platform that people need to think about has to include all the different ways people would interact, whether it's virtual, going to the clinic, someone coming to their home, or even self-help. So we really think it's more a lot of discovery, but I will kind of layer this to you. The data that people need to be focused on is going to is going to help them determine what solutions to use. And we're really, we're really heavy into the data on why a patient converts to a scheduled appointment or to that provider. So the data really, it's there, it exists. People just have to really pay attention to it. And let's not make it up, it exists. The answers are there in front of us.
In your thoughts, tell us how, you mentioned it a little bit already there, but when we talk about another topic, which obviously I believe goes kind of in line with access to care, we talk about this major digital health transformation that we're going through right now. What is, at this point in time, obviously that'll continue to expand, but at this point in time, what is betterPT's role in that digital transformation?
So we want to get as close to the patient as we can when they're ready to make that decision, right? And the simple answer is this, like, let's use Google as an example. Google is search and answers. And typically when you go to Google and you get your search and answer, most of the time you end up at Amazon, right? And Amazon guides you through the purchase and the buy. We believe that there's room in healthcare to have that same experience, right? Patients are looking, they find answers, whether that's on your website as a health system or just in general. Where's the buy? The buy is the appointment. So when you think of our technology and you think about what we're trying to accomplish, we want to help capture that qualified patient at the moment they need care and start that process of qualification, getting them that first initial appointment, and then sending all that information to the provider so it truly is a seamless first experience. So that's really what we do in the physical therapy landscape and beyond.
It's a really interesting approach. Yeah, it's something that's much needed. And I don't know if it's sad to say the fact that when we search on Google, we end up on Amazon, and as much as maybe we don't want to order something on Amazon, we always do because it's so easy, right? And you know exactly when it's going to get there, and sometimes it'll get there that same day. So if there can be a similar level of care, to kind of how we buy things and how we interact with Google and Amazon, I think that's where healthcare needs to get to. And then you're seeing right now, right? Amazon Care, they're trying to, I don't want to say the term disrupt, because I think they're just going about things in a very reasonable way. They just put the Amazon lens on it. I think Amazon Care will actually do a lot better than Haven did, that they started out, and it's already showing that it's doing pretty well. So really cool how you feel betterPT fits in that digital transformation.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point. Like, when you're building a digital health company, you can't boil the ocean. You can't be everything to all people. So we really believe in being the best at the first mile of the patient journey, the best digital front door that can exist. And I think when you have that mission and it's so focused, you start to see the opportunities, and I think, you mentioned Amazon, even Google, like they've gone so broad in some cases. I just don't know how you can be the best. And healthcare is not something that people deserve second best.
Yeah, it's when you see like certain niche areas of healthcare, right? Like, we talk about this. We just had the vice president of Health Velocity Capital on, right? One of the big investors in the healthcare space. And he was talking about this focus that they look at, telemedicine wraparound services. So these services that will, work with telehealth and other types of spaces within healthcare and help them actually fulfill, scale their let them focus on what they do best, and the wraparound services focus on the operational pieces. I think that's where these companies have chances to win. Like, you're not going to try to do everything. Why would you? You're not going to be able to do well at it. And I think you look at the Googles and the Amazons of the world, and they do try to do it. And eventually, I don't think they'll be great at everything, right? We found that out with Haven. It didn't work out. Now, do they have a very high chance that they're going to be good at everything just because of how big they are? Yeah, whenever someone has several $1 billion in the bank, they can make mistakes and invest in different companies. And when an Amazon acquires a company or invests in a company, they just want one of them to succeed. They don't really care if the one they're investing in succeeds, right? So, there's so much space. And I think the companies that take the focus and say, Google does well at this, but they're not going to be able to do well at everything. There's something to be said about the small startups and the mid-sized startups that are putting that passion on every single day, right? And all their focus into that thing, they have a chance at doing things a lot better as a result. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. And I think if you look at just how much, wonderful technology is being brought into care, I always say, well, without the patient, there is no care. And that's where I want to be. I want to be part of getting that patient through the door, because once they're there, treatment and outcomes are better than ever because of what's happening in science and life sciences. So just feeling or kind of having the mission, right, of getting patients to the appropriate care, I think it's just super. It's a great mission, and a lot of people can get behind it. It may not be as sexy as some of the other digital startups, but guess what? We're at the moment the patient needs the care or needs to get into care, and I think that's special.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. What are some of the things that you're really looking forward to? Maybe this is where we add another teaser in here over the next couple months, but some of the things you're most excited about in terms of betterPT, and we can kind of use that to wrap up this podcast.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. One is really, again, continue to get closer to the patient, right? We're seeing this big boom in QR codes, right? And that's part of the pandemic. You go to a restaurant, they're using them for menus. There's a lot of value in healthcare with these QR codes, and we're just kind of on the tip of the iceberg of what we can do with them and the data that we're getting back for them. So we're really excited to keep kind of learning how to either create or leverage the digital assets to help people acquire more patients. That's one. And two, we're really looking forward to getting to the point where we can process some of the copays. I really believe that, one of the things that you love about Uber or any of these services that you've ever used, you never reach into your pocket, right? You never have to stand at the desk. And so I believe that we have an opportunity to be that we can solve that pain point as well for both the patient and for the provider who kind of are now changing. But to be honest, the most exciting thing to me, Jared, is the problem we're solving is everywhere. Access is a problem everywhere. And it's just about picking and choosing the opportunities that we think are most meaningful and that really kind of, again, leverage all of our platform and our data capabilities that we have spent so much time developing over the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's there's just so many areas that still need to be improved upon within healthcare, especially. It's funny that you mentioned the QR codes. I was putting QR codes on my resume like 10 years ago. It just It didn't seem like they didn't catch on back then, though, and it just made a ton of sense to me. Put your phone out. It's also getting a lot better. I remember, years ago, you had to download a QR code app that you had to have separate on your phone just to be able to scan these codes. Now they all built into their,
we did a case study with a health system on QR codes at point of referral. Incredible. I mean, the results were incredible. So again, I think the pandemic has just accelerated the learning and the willingness to make change. People use the word disrupt. I like the word kind of make positive change. And I think it's exciting. I think it's going to continue to evolve, and, people are more open to doing things differently than ever before.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Greg, I'm super pumped we were able to do this. It's been great chatting with you. I look forward to future episodes, and I wish you all the best of luck.
Same here, man. Thank you so much. Great to see you. Be well.